Hey guys, welcome back to my channel on ReviewZMov.com. As you can see, an Iron Man with review again. This is the Hot Toys Mark IV diecast release. It's the diecast release of the original Mark IV from 2012. Lots of upgrades, as you can see, and I got myself the Gantry suit up version, so it's actually coming with the whole diorama base and stuff. I never owned the first Gantry, so let's see how this turns out. And I think we start out of the box first. So as you can see, this is the MMS462 and the 22nd diecast release by Hot Toys, and now have a look at this cool looking box. It fits perfectly into the diecast series of all the Iron Man releases by Hot Toys recently, and the main difference is the thickness. So it's pretty deep and thick because it had two main compartments, one for the gantry parts and the other first layer is basically for the diecast figure itself, and in between you have another layer for accessories and I think the second half of the mechanical arms. But pretty sweet, I have to say. And here we go with the Mark IV in full light and display by itself without the gantry. I will focus the gantry in the second half of the video review, but let's go first for the accessories because you get quite a lot with this figure here. Okay, let's go from right to left. The minor accessories first. We have two gauntlets to replace with rocket launching feature, nicely sculpted but nothing groundbreaking. Then we've got two shoulder missile pod, just quickly replace. Then different hand sculpts. These are the repulsor action hands and then the fully articulated hands, as you know. And then on the left side, the cool special items that you get with this release. The donut, I think it's a resculpt from the first 2012 release. Sunglasses, nicely painted. They fit perfectly onto the figure. And I think this item here, the coffee cup, is actually a new item that was not included in the 2012 release. And then the donut box. Looks already a bit loose if you ask me. Yeah. And then here we go with the portrait of Robert Downey Jr. It's basically the one that we saw already from the Mark V diecast release and the Arc Reactor creation scene. Cool is that we have actually a rotatable neck plug, so it's not totally fixed in terms of the sculpting here. So what is actually missing here is a default stand, so you have absolutely no option to display the cool looking suit by itself with a proper stand by Hot Toys, and that's a bit unfortunate. If you pay, like, I think right now it was $1,000 US for the Gantry version and you don't have a secondary stand in this box, it just feels a bit lackluster. And I think the original release and also in the plastic re-release there was an Iron Man 2 themed crotch grabber stand included. That's definitely something that I expected, but it was not in the box, unfortunately. Now for the suit itself, if you ask me, this is a breathtaking piece. It oozes quality in every single inch of this release. It's crazy. If you look at the paint job, it's a lot better than the first plastic version. It's just shinier, it has more richness to it, and overall I'm pretty happy how this turned out. It has a lot more durability, the feel is better, it's really proper, because if you look at the plastic releases, they just fell apart in the past years. They have totally loose ankles and joints, and this is now a really proper Iron Man 4 release, so on that part I'm definitely satisfied. Some of the highlights, for example, beneath the faceplate you have a newly placed switch for the LED. You can almost hit it without removing the top of the helmet. And then of course it looks pretty sweet. The faceplate is not fully clean, it has some battle damage, as you can see here around the eye sockets. but overall I'm definitely impressed with this one. Then we have a removable chest plate, with the arc reactor and the switch for the arc reactor, so on the back side beneath this panel here. So having the arc reactor activated, as you see, it's quite a tiny socket for the arc reactor this time around, but nicely lit. And what you can see beneath here are the blue LEDs just shimmering through beneath the armor. That's pretty nice. Overall, as you can see, all the details on the paint application are amazing. It's not a fully clean suit. Everywhere you will see some scratches and some paint marks, battle damage marks all over, also on these ridges and edges here. It's pretty amazingly done. Quickly highlight the articulation. As you can see, there's a lot of range of motion in the ab section. You can rotate, crunch it, and just also collapse it again. It's pretty sweet engineered. Also for the leg section, all details are there. Here on the back side you got the flaps that you can open. Everything that you would expect is there. Also I love the shoulder joints. You can actually pull them out slightly. You have a pretty sweet range of motion when actually posing the arms, and the shoulder pads have no way of blocking, and you can easily close the gaps here between shoulder and arm. Alright, quick comparison to the original Mark IV in plastic form. You see there are some totally new sculpts on the diecast one. Of course, the sculpts and proportion by themselves are much better. I mean, it's like night and day putting them next to each other. The full body is a lot more depth to it and thickness on the diecast version. Then of course you don't have the pink panty problem, which is still visible on the plastic one. For example, up here the paint is fading, and overall the build quality is so much better. I mean, I can't have the original Mark IV standing on its own anymore. Let's try it out. And then you also see that the height difference is definitely visible, but the joints are so loose. That's really a shame. Yeah, but I will probably keep both, or of course I will keep the diecast one, but I also want to try to keep the original figures just in terms of the legacy situation, to see the actual evolution of this Hot Toys product. That's nice to see. Then again, of course, the paint application is much nicer on the diecast. Especially I like the golden paint application much better. The red I think was okay on both pieces. Then a quick look at the unmasked portrait, the Robert Downey Jr. likeness with the new coffee mug and the donut box. Pretty sweet. So that could be a nice pose for the D12. I think the cardboard or paper they use for the box could have been a bit better in terms of the durability. I think it's still the same material as last time. And let's quickly take off the sunglasses. So that's the full likeness. Yeah, pretty cool. So that's definitely a cool casual looking display. And this time around, I mean, they used the right portrait and likeness for the appropriate scene, because for the Mark V this head sculpt was just not the right one. But this time around I think the hair sculpt and actual non-battle damage makes sense. So just judging the figure itself, I'm already really satisfied, and if I would just go for the figure version only, I think that's already a superb deal. Of course it's expensive, you pay about, I don't know, $600 right now, so these are the usual Hot Toys diecast prices right now in Hong Kong. But overall the quality is really there with this release. It's perfectly shaped, there is perfect illusion, and the proportions are right that somebody could sit in this suit and take it over and control it. and I think all the other details, the paint applications are perfect. So for me, that's a top A, triple A release. And now let's see how this changes when we put them into the Gantry. So let's see. So and here we go, this is the Gantry out of the box and fully set up. Expect to invest about 10 minutes, and as you can see in comparison to my hand, it's quite a large piece, and you have basically 3 huge mechanical arms and then 1, 2, about 6 smaller arms. And the main thing is basically by setting it up from this flat panel base, releasing all the levers and switches, and then you are able to somehow lift these panels up. And beneath here there's actually a light switch. So with 3 AAA batteries you have, I think you can see there, 4 different LEDs that are shining a bit light onto the figure. It's not much, but yeah, at least we have the option too. And then it's basically just adding all these mechanical arms. So all these mechanical arms have joints and articulated elements. So these are basically meant to place at the front of the legs and the back of the legs, and they're just put on, so they're not locked into forever, and you can pull all these mechanical parts out. As you can see on the front of the Gantry, there's no Iron Man 2 themed title, so it's just plain black. And yeah, somehow it would have been nice to have the option to at least have an Iron Man 2 titled base plate or something, especially because you don't get the normal crotch grabber base. Another main difference compared to the first Gantry is that the panels are fully completed. You don't have to put something together. I think the surface was a cardboard type of material last time around. So let's focus a bit on these mechanical arms, on the larger ones, because they're really well painted. They have a nice yellow paint application, and all in the details you see some scratch marks here and there in a brown shading. So this is magnificently done. You have different cables that you can pose, and of course there is articulation everywhere on these mechanical arms. Just to demonstrate it to you, you can extend the top part to a certain degree, pull it out again. Of course, this is fully rotatable. You can then lift it up and down. You see all the pistons working, and the bottom part to the base is actually detachable. So there's like a socket, and you just place it in there, and here's a rotating joint that allows you to a certain degree to rotate it. Yeah, so pretty sweet, and the same it goes for the one on the left side. Then here on the front side and the back side you have these smaller arms. They have also some articulation, and I think this is meant to attach the torso plate. I think there is a magnet in place. I will show you afterwards. And when we go to the back side, there's an even larger mechanical arm, nicely sculpted. I mean, look at all this piston work. Paint applications are perfect. So for example, this element is basically taking up or detaching or attaching the helmet piece. And these are all rotatable arms, mini arms basically. Definitely cool piece. So when we rotate to the back side, you see this is the tallest of these mechanical arms, and it's basically split into different sub parts, and it's meant to detach the actual helmet of Iron Man. So these parts are fully articulated, all plastic. Here we got some nice piston work going on. Also the lower part is articulated, and overall pretty sweet, pretty sweet, and again nicely painted if we zoom in a bit. So it really looks like industrially used metal, But then again, it's all plastic, so you don't have diecast parts on the gantry itself. But I think I'm pretty fine with that. I mean, quite surprising that they actually could fit the whole stuff into the box sized in terms of a normal diecast figure. So they have quite a space efficient boxing and packaging for this release. Okay, here we go. This is the Mark IV finally placed in the Gantry suit up system, and yes, this looks ace and totally what I was looking for. It's well thought through. You don't have to go into all the details and place this silver arm elements perfectly. You just have to align. So for example, if you look at these elements here, just push them a bit closer, it will look nice and snug. You don't have to really lock it into place. Overall, definitely satisfied. This time, at least once, I'm really happy that they really re-released something, because I never invested into the first Gantry, and now we have a better paint job. So let's look at some details. So it's quite straightforward to put a Tony onto the base, and you just slide the arms of the Mark IV suit into these containers here, and because they're slightly articulated, you can actually adjust the length of the whole container, and it's an easy fit. You don't scratch anything, and yeah, I think it's a well thought through diorama piece. Then for the torso armor, you actually have a magnetic plate in the silver piece here, and you just attach it this way. So you basically can recreate the scene when it's detaching or attaching the torso armor. Quite nice. So the only questionable thing or construction that I see on the Gantry is this holding pieces for the helmet. It seems that it's not aligned fully centered. Maybe that's a construction issue on my piece itself, but it looks just not aligned properly. And you can't rotate the upper piece, so it's all fixed in place. And then I'm really not convinced about how to fit the actual helmet onto this construction, because down below there is some kind of a socket, but yeah, it's just not secure enough, if you ask me. I mean, you can get it to work somehow. As you can see here, just align different arms closely to the helmet, like this. But it's not a proper secure fit. But yeah, it will do the job with some trying out. And yeah, in the end, it looks pretty sweet. So here we go, that's basically the final look. So we have the helmet approaching from the behind, and from the front we have the torso armor. So you definitely have some options how to display Tony on the Gantry itself. So I'm pretty satisfied how this looks. And then of course you can do like posing variants where you don't have Tony grabbing the two mechanical arms. For example, having just some of the mechanical arms attaching stuff to the suit. It's a bit more of a relaxed pose, but also quite nice. And then I have one last pose in my mind that I want to show you, and we're then off to the conclusion. Okay, and here we go, the final pose, just seconds before the armor parts are getting removed by the Gantry system. It's quite an easy achievable pose, because the suit is so well designed, you can't do much bad, I think. Normally with Iron Man pieces you have these unsightly gaps between shoulder and arms, or the biceps don't look naturally placed, but I think with this design Hot Toys really excelled themselves, and it's an easy one, especially look at also from the back side. It looks just properly designed and natural looking. So final conclusion, if you're a hardcore Iron Man collector, that's without question an instant buy. If you're a Marvel collector and you don't have the Mark IV yet, also I think. If you have the plastic version, you're not happy with it because it has bad articulation or loose joints, then also this is a very good replacement. But expect hefty price tags and crazy prices right now in Hong Kong. So I think the whole set with the Gantry costs around $1,000 right now, and that's really crazy compared to the 600 that Sideshow is asking. But I mean, you get a lot, and at least for me as a European collector, I expect to pay a bit more. But yeah, especially with diecast pieces, it's getting crazy right now. I heard that the Sideshow shipment is already on the way, so I think that some of the United States collectors already got their hands on the Sideshow release of this piece. That's a good news. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you soon next time, and have a good day. Bye bye.